Boeing's long game of certification fraud from 9/11 to 2027. Brought to you by Daryl Guberman, QA expert and Boeing shareholder, and the man who exposed the largest industrial and fiduciary deception that the world has ever seen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not just a speech. This is a warning, a revelation, a call to action. Because what I'm about to share with you is not a misunderstanding, not a clerical error, not a lapse in oversight. It is a 22-year illusion engineered by Boeing, enabled by the American National Accrediting Board, and rubber stamped by a global network of accreditation bodies. The 2012 memo, a silent admission. On July 31st, 2012, and I'm telling you this, you have to go to the root cause, ladies and gentlemen. That's why it was 13 years ago. I'm telling you now, because there's progress. That's why I am the guy who opened up this deception, a 22-year deception at that. So the memo was issued by Tim Lee, other party management team leader of the International Aerospace Quality Group. This memo, distributed under the International Aerospace Quality Group, laid out the rules for aerospace quality management system certification. The aerospace quality management system certification must be granted only to organizations that meet the applicable AQMS standard and IAQG requirements. AQMS is not equivalent to the ISO 9001 standard. Certification decisions are subject to the IAQG oversight, which the IAQG was part of OASIS, the Online Aerospace Systems Information System, that was designed as a supplier bulletin in October of 2003. Okay, it was mandated that those, and I'm going to get into it here, but those AS9100 certified suppliers must have been put on the OASIS database, run by the International Aerospace Quality Group, and that was 65% run by Boeing in 2003. It is apparent in 2012. It sounds like it's the same. This memo was clear. Unaccredited certificates were invalid. But here's the contradiction. Tim Lee, the author of this memo, also represented Boeing on the Management System Accreditation Committee, the same Boeing that operated without AS9100 for over 22 years. Boeing post 9/11 mandate, the illusion begins, and here we go. In July 2002, just 7 months after a CNN Money article said that they were going to lay off 20 to 30,000 people at Boeing, Boeing issued a supplier bulletin stating all suppliers must be AS9100 certified and ANAB accredited or internationally equivalent. The phrase internationally equivalent opened the door to certifications from countries like Pakistan, Iran, and China. It created a false sense of global compliance while Boeing itself remained uncertified. Heads Up 22, the database trap. In October 2003, ANSI-ANAB released Heads Up 22, mandating that AS9100 certified suppliers must join the Online Aerospace Systems Information System run by the International Aerospace Quality Group, where Boeing had 65% control at that time. Suppliers were told, you must pay database fees. You cannot refuse to be put on the database. If you do, your certificate will be taken away. That was not oversight. This was coercion, enforced by system Boeing helped design. The confession and the illusion shattered. In June 2024, Elizabeth Lund, Boeing's vice president of quality, publicly stated in a Reuters article, an interview, Boeing is willing and prepared to pursue AS9100 certification. This was a confession, a confirmation that 2002 to 24, Boeing operated without the very certification it demanded from thousands of suppliers. During this time, Boeing built 12,000 aircraft and 400 plus military platforms. Also, you think about the Ethiopian Air and Indonesian Air was built during this time frame. Also, the presidential was built during this time frame, the new aircraft. And Boeing sat 10 years on the Management System Accreditation Committee, chaired by Tim Lee, helped shape the rules of the system they did not comply with. The accreditation bodies complicit by design. The following accreditation bodies were implicated: ANAB and their international equivalents. These bodies allowed registrars to issue certificates under the illusion of compliance, even when Boeing was not accredited. The fallout, past, present, and future. This is not just a historical fraud, it's a systematic fraud that continues into 2026, 2027, and beyond. Any certificate issued by a registrar, accredited by ANAB or its international equivalents, during or after Boeing's 22-year deception must be considered suspect because the system was compromised, because the oversight was theatrical, because the illusion is global. Final message to the public, fiduciaries, and the world. This is not just about Boeing. This is about every supplier forced into the database, every investor misled by false compliance, every aircraft built under the illusion of quality. The accreditation system was destroyed by Boeing in concert with the American National Crediting Board. And unless we confront it now, the illusion will continue unchecked, unchallenged, and unpublished. And I thank you. And to solidify what Elizabeth Lund said about being prepared and ready to get AS 9100 certified, I went out to Boeing in October of 2024. I went out there at Everett, Renton, Auburn, and Northfield. I spoke with the employees. I canvassed them morning, noon, and night. I didn't leave for almost a month. I was there talking to the employees, getting this stuff. You couldn't get this out of Kelly Oberg, the new CEO. You couldn't get this out of the board of directors. They're drinking their champagne and smoking their cigarettes or whatever, or having caviar, whatever. Okay? You cannot get the honesty out of these people. But we did out of Elizabeth Lund. Elizabeth Lund, in June 2024, on a Reuters interview, gave the keys to the kingdom. She gave that key to me, that I've been following Boeing because I thought something really smelled when I opened up my business in 2011 and 2012 when we split the company in two. I used to be called a certificate mill by one of these guys on the computer. In fact, he was sent to get rid of me, but he failed. Just like anyone who tries to come after me, they will ultimately fail. And what happened was, he called me a certificate mill, unaccredited and unofficial, because in 2016, we were asked to join either the IF or ANAB. And in my good conscience, and as a proud American, I could not, because the IAF in 2015 was handed over to a communist Chinese national, Zhao Jinwu, who had been involved with our quality, just America and globally, okay, since 1994. He was also the chairman or chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services, the accreditation body who's equivalent to ANAB, but also he certified an ill-prepared WUHAN China lab, okay? And that's the bottom line. I could not do that. I would not do that. So we kept our registrations separate and the accreditation body that we designed and developed, okay? And that is the bottom line, plain and simple. You know, the reason why we do this is to let you know that they called me a certificate mill. They called me unaccredited, unofficial. So do you know what ANAB is? A fraud, a real fraud. And we have proved it time and time again in these videos. I would not disparage anyone. I would not disparage anyone at all. But I will say this. My company is my family name. I will not degrade it. I will not disgrace it. And what I do with ANAB is not defamation. Is the truth defamation? Any lawyer could twist it, but as I heard, and I have, an email from a lawyer of 40 years, he said, Daryl, both state and federal courtrooms are no more than blue smoke and mirrors. I thank you. My number is 203-556-1493, and I do this integrity, honesty, and the truth. I thank you.